What if I told you that child support might not be the permanent sentence that they say it is, and that certain laws may allow you to challenge or discharge it under the right conditions? In this video, I'll show you how child support works as a financial instrument, when you can challenge it, and what legal remedies might apply. Now, I've studied consumer law, administrative process, and public policy, and I'm here to help you understand your true options. Before we dive into this video, remember to hit the like button. Remember to hit the subscribe button, because what we are talking about on this channel are things that nobody is talking about, okay? Or things that they will just give you a piece of and won't inherently explain exactly what it is or the exact steps and legal merit behind it, okay? Now, make sure to understand that this is not legal advice. This is not financial advice. Make sure you do your due diligence. Don't take everything that I'm saying for face value. Make sure you are willing to put in the work and actually find the information, okay? Someone in my Twitch chat said, hey, I learned the importance of researching those legal definitions, because when you know the legalese, when you know how to communicate and you know exactly what they are saying to you, then it makes understanding the law that much easier. So if you have to tap into a black law dictionary, if you have to read the Constitution, if you have to go to the definition sections of a particular title, and when I do bring them up, write them down and review them, okay? So what we're going to be talking about specifically in this video is child support and how to be able to overcome it, okay? Now, it is essentially something that a lot of people feel like they are stuck in, feel like they can't get away from, feel like it is crippling, right? As the Twitch chat says, okay? And people think that, you know, when they have child support, and again, support your children. All right, I'm not making this video so you don't, support your children, but to have to go through an agency or have to go through a court in order to take care of your child, that right there is unlawful. And I'm going to prove it, and I'm going to challenge it, and I'm going to tell you how to challenge it. You dig me? Now, I don't have child support. All right. So remember that this is research and education and information in comparison to my already done research. This is also inspired by KW Estate. Okay, I've seen her child support video and I was like, okay, bet I could probably break this down and make this make sense. Okay, now let's understand the structure of child support. Okay, child support is a court-ordered debt enforced under Title IVD of the Social Security Act, okay? And now Title 4D, that is an agency, okay, in your state, okay? And they usually act without providing a wet ink signature, without a contract, jurisdiction, or even proper validation, okay? So when you think of Title 4D, that agency is just like a debt collector. Okay, you would treat them the same way you would treat any other debt collection company. Okay, and you have rights under the Constitution to challenge them directly. Okay, now when you think of child support, it is collected under a federal incentive program, which is listed under Title 42. U.S. Code 658A, incentive payments to states. Now that actually sounds pretty crazy. An incentive payments to states? It's not really for the child. You know what I mean? It seems like it's more for the state. Okay? And I mean, it breaks down all these numbers here. Okay? But when you look at this here, I mean, you see support order, paternity establishment performance letter, current payment performance letter, area arranged payment performance letter, cost effective performance. But anything that falls under this title here requires a certain level of disclosure, okay? But it also breaks down that many orders are created without full financial disclosure or due process. It's more of something that is just like, okay, boom, this is the payment. And it's not really for the mother or the child or the father, whatever the case may be. It's more for the state, Okay. So some orders are established administratively and not really in open court. And when we talk about the administrative process, it's more of a private thing that's happening behind the scenes, more like a private communication. And in that private communication, they kind of make that order there. But you have the ability to challenge that private communication and really get it into open court and challenge things like child support. Okay. Now, the question is child support debt? Yes, technically yes, but not all debts are created equal. So let me explain. It's more enforced like civil debt, okay? It can be reported to credit agencies and is often enforced through wage garnishment, asset seizures, or even license suspension. So they'll do things. So let's look up this civil debt real quick. Civil debt versus debt, okay? So civil debt is something that is essentially, ordered by the court, okay? So when you just look that up, debt is a general term for financial obligation or money owed by one party, the debtor, to another, the creditor, okay? Loans, bonds, credit card balances, other obligations, and then civil debt specifically refers to a debt that has been recognized and established by a court order or judgments, okay? This occurs when a creditor sues a debtor for non-payment and the court rules in favor of the creditor, declaring that the debtor owes a specific amount. Okay? So most times civil debt has gone through a court process versus debt is, what we are familiar with. Okay? But here's the key. Not all obligations are immune to challenge. Just like you can challenge that debt from that bank, you can challenge a judgment. You can challenge a civil debt. You can challenge child support, okay? Because everybody has a specific jurisdiction that they must fall under, and you have a right to challenge a person's jurisdiction, okay? But I will say that civil debts are not as easy as dischargeable in bankruptcy, but it can still be challenged or audited, meaning you can challenge and look for those key informations that would determine whether or not the debt is valid. Okay. So let's just talk about the legal grounds for challenge. Okay. When you get an order for one to pay child support, you have a right to challenge whether you entered in with full disclosure. Most times you are entered in without full disclosure. And essentially, when you don't have full disclosure, that is a violation of due process, which also violates the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. You dig me? You have a right to due process. So I don't care if out of the blue you have child support that they just ordered and you didn't even have a chance to go in court and challenge it. Okay? That right there is a direct violation of the 5th and 14th Amendment. Okay? So it could be based on outdated income and fabricated numbers, okay? One may say that, hey, you make X amount of dollars and this is what I'm entitled to, okay? You also have a right to really challenge the other person and their reasons for the child support, okay? There's also no verified wet ink signature on support agreements as it regards to the child support, okay? There's also no proof of jurisdiction or standing, okay? And essentially, if these things aren't reached, then you can invoke things like the Truth in Lending Act, okay? Were the full terms disclosed, okay? Number 2, you can challenge using the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act if there are third-party collectors collecting, okay? Like the agency. You can also challenge under UCC 3-501 tender of payments if there was a refusal, okay? And then you can also use UCC 3-305 for lack of consideration or fraud in the obligation. Okay, so if this was a fraudulent contract and to your knowledge, it is something that is unenforceable, then you can you have rights to challenge that. So one may say, well, I can't challenge child support. I have to pay it or whatever the case may be. Some people think that they're in a sentence of, okay, well, damn, if I don't live with the child, then I have to pay child support. And again, I'm not at all telling one to not take care of your child. Take care of your child. If you have a child and it's yours, take care of it. Okay? But a lot of times people will try to take advantage of you and use the system to, get a certain amount, as it pertains to child support, and really just put you in a situation where that is unfavorable to you or just to spite you. Okay. Now, if you're a person that's running away from the obligation, you deserve everything that's coming to you, right? But if you're a person who know you're gonna do right by your child and you don't need a third party like a court to order it, do what you gotta do. Again, this is not legal advice. I ain't telling one to do this process if, you know what I mean, you're just trying to completely not take care of your child. Again, you deserve whatever is coming to you. All right. So thank you, Beach Brains. I'll do that in a second. So I do want to break down this Title 4D agency. Okay. So understand that you aren't just challenging the idea of child support. You're really challenging the process, the contract, and the agencies enforcing it without lawful authority. So here's who you'll typically target. You'll target the agency, Title 4D agency. You would target them directly, okay? Because they usually act without providing that full disclosure, jurisdiction, and proper debt validation. So you would challenge them with debt validation letters. You would challenge them with conditional acceptance letters. You would challenge them with affidavit of truth, or you can add a tender of payments. Okay. So another person that you can challenge is the county clerk or the family court. If your child support order came from the court, you may challenge the jurisdiction or ask for a motion to vacate based on those lack of disclosures, based on the violation of your due process rights, based on non-verified contract agreement to pay. Because when you start to challenge the agreement itself or start to challenge the contract, it's not about the debt. Okay? So absolutely right. It has to be done in good faith. Okay, any contract that you're in, I don't care if it's child support, I don't care if it's a mortgage of $300,000, $1 million, I don't care if it's an auto loan, I don't care if it's credit card, I don't care if it's B to B, I don't care if it's me and you, right? It has to be done in good faith, or you can really challenge whether they was maneuvering in honor, okay? Because as long as you maneuver in honor, then you kind of are doing your part, okay? So another person that you can challenge is the Attorney General. Okay, in many states, the Attorney General handles the child support. So you can send a Freedom of Information Act. Okay, you can use that and ask for those public records and request them to produce the original contract, the accounting records, right? Payment ledgers and proof of authority. All right, you treat them like a debt collector. You treat them like a mortgage company. You treat them like a bank. All right. Then, and this is probably even easier, as if it's through a private contractor or a third party company, okay? Because they really have no jurisdiction, okay? If you can challenge the Attorney General, if you can challenge the court, if you can challenge that the agency itself, then you can challenge a third party company through the FDCPA, just as simple as that. You can ask for those licensing info, bonding info, and their right to collect, their legal standing on a particular debt. Okay. Remember, you are challenging like whether they have the authority to collect. You're not really challenging whether you owe child support. You get what I'm saying? You're challenging the person that says that you owe. So that goes beyond the debt itself. Who gave you the right to give me that? Okay. Did I agree to it? Did you give me that proper disclosure? So one looks at child support and thinks that it's something so different and extravagant. Yes, it is civil debt. Yes, it is court ordered, but you still can challenge the jurisdiction of the person that, claims you owe them something. Okay? So let's just talk about how the Freedom of Information Act or public records law apply. The Freedom of Information Act applies to federal agencies, but most states have their own version, like California's CPRA or Florida's Sunshine's law. Okay, so each state kind of has their own law, so definitely look based off of your state. And you can use the FOIA to demand the original signed child support agreements. You can use the FOIA for the ledger showing where the payments go. Because remember back to the point where it's incentive payments to the state. So the state definitely takes their cut or takes their piece. You can challenge and look for internal memos or policies of enforcement. You can look for evidence of bond or insurance payouts if the child support is bonded. right? Remember when back to certain loans or lease or notes are securitized, okay, or insured, and sometimes are often paid out, right? And they're attempting to double collect. And then you can also ask for the copy of the 4D contract between the state and the federal government. So again, you have a right to really ask for these things. And back to Christina Wilson, she had a, if you want to check out her video, you can just type in KWE Estate on YouTube. But she did a video where she was showing her writing a letter to, I think, the Attorney General, specifically asking for this information. Okay. And again, if they cannot produce these documents, then essentially they kind of don't really have much legal standing or jurisdiction. So when I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay, bet. I see that you have the template up here. I see that you have this letter up here. What is the point of it is what I'm thinking. So I'm like, okay, it's the same exact concept through conditional acceptance, through debt validation. You're asking for the information, and if they cannot produce it, then they kind of lose their standing to collect. Okay, so here's a sample of how you should word it. Okay, under the state's Public Records Act, I request a certified copy of the original signed child support contract between myself and the agency, including the underlying contracts, bond filings, payment ledgers, and all internal records related to this obligation. You can send this to the state child support agency. You can send this to the clerk of the court. You can also send this to the Attorney General's office. Okay, so the question is, okay, well, who do I challenge? And I think this is where people get stuck at. Back to you can challenge the state child support enforcement agency. You can challenge the county clerk or the family court. You can challenge the Attorney General of your state, and you would challenge those private contractors and those third parties. All right, remember, but you have to know exactly who it is that is attempting to enforce this debt onto you. And remember, whoever's is attempting to collect the debt on you, they fall under the FDCPA. They fall under the Truth in Lending Act. They fall under Freedom of Information Act. They fall under the Public Records Act. They fall under any act that requires them to provide certain disclosures as it pertains to a contract. They fall under contract law. Okay? When you look up the foundations of contract law, it's very keen and very simple. Well, when you pull up the contract law foundations, just certain things that you should know, because when we start to shift the conversation to contract law, it's a couple of things that must be adhered to. Okay? Consideration. Okay? Capacity. Legality. Okay? Meeting of the minds, right? Full disclosure, right? An exchange. Okay? So let's break down administrative remedy and discharge strategy. So I want to break down exactly how to be able to do this strategy. Okay. Number one, you want to send, whether you're sending the enforcement agency, whether you're sending the debt collector, whoever is attempted to collect the debt, the people I stated before, you want to send them an affidavit of truth. Okay. You want to lay out your truths and what you know to be true about child support, debt, the laws that they must follow, the Freedom of Information Act. You know what I mean? Like how if they don't respond, they acquiesce. You want to lay out your truths. You want to lay out who you are in this particular case or in this contract in the affidavit of truth. All right. Number two, if you decide to pay using a coupon or pay using a bond, you want to make sure to send them a notice of tender of payment. Okay. This is important because it says, hey, if you do not accept this, then I will assume it is refused. And if it's refused, then it is discharged according to UCC 3-603. But also you're notifying, hey, I'm paying this way. I'm attempting to perform. So if you don't accept this, then you have forfeited your right to collect. Okay. Number two, conditional acceptance, particularly to the child support enforcement agency. You want to ask for, you'll say, hey, look, if you can prove X, Y, and Z, then I'll agree to pay. So here's the things that you can prove. If you can provide a proof of claim and standing on this debt, if you can provide the verification of this debt, if you can provide proof of contract and obligation, and if ignored, you either acquiesce, okay? And you, not only do you acquiesce, but everything that I said or anything that goes unrebutted now stands in truth. So boom, they may try to ignore you because they're going to think that you're a little fish. So you're going to hit them with a notice of dishonor. The administrative process all over again. You're going to say, hey, look, I've noticed you dishonored me, but I'll give you an opportunity to cure. Okay? I know you're at fault, but I'll give you that opportunity to cure, my baby. After the notice of dishonor, if they continue to ignore or continue to BS you, then you want to take them through an administrative lien, UCC filing, taking them to court, and potentially file the lawsuit. Now, it's not legal advice, okay? So if you're still denied, consider small claims court or a civil suit for lack of verification and unlawful enforcement. Look, now it's not even about me. People think that they fight their partner when it comes to child support. No, that's not even the person that you will fight. You will fight the debt collectors, the people who are overseeing the child support, the people that are garnishing your wages, okay? And then number 5, okay? Here are the final warnings and opportunities, okay? You take them through the administrative process and understand and know that, okay? And when you do this, understand it's not you evading responsibility, because if you just say, hey, look, I'm not trying to sit here and go through no court in order to take care of my child, right? We can do a joint custody. We can do X, Y, and Z. We can communicate with a debt collector. We can communicate with each other. We can come up with our own agreement. And if one decides to just, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and just spite you, like, yeah, you deserve for me to go and challenge everything. Now you won't get nothing from me. You're gonna get exactly what I want to give you. All right, and you guys have a right to do that. And I'm not trying to sit here and tell one to not pay their debts or not to take care of their child or anything like that. I'm repeating that because I think a lot of people think that when you are having a conversation about overcoming child support, they think it's about, oh, you don't want to pay your take care of your child. But that's not even the case. That's me not trying to be gamed by the system. I don't give a damn who you are. I'm not about to be gamed by the system. You're not about to do me like that. You're not about to try to take advantage of me just because we had a child together. Okay? Because people will do that, you know? Anthony Edwards said, look, man, I'm going to just pay for my child support flat rate right now. And I think she only got like $100K. That's nothing. Now she got to be smart with that money. Now she can't sit there and spend all that money, go buy her a G-Wagon. If she goes and buys a G-Wagon with that, and that's what people would do, right? So instead of me sitting there paying child support for the next 18 years, and I can go and fluctuate the price and still ask you for more money and this, that, and the third, yeah, I'm going to pay it straight out. And that was his way of settling, you know, but also getting from under the court's foot, getting from under those agencies' foot, okay? So it's not about evading responsibility. It's about asserting your rights when the system has failed to do due process, okay? Many fathers and mothers are paying debts that they never lawfully agreed to. And it's important that when you don't agree to something, your right has been taken away. It's not really about, again, it's not about like not take care of a child. It's more about, look, I'm not about to let nobody just take my rights away from me. Okay? And proper remedy starts with proper paperwork, not panic. So this is why I teach about the paperwork. This is why I teach about the administrative process. This is why I say that the paperwork comes first, then you go to court. This is why I teach you about this, because I want you guys to maneuver without emotion and just maneuver in facts. Maneuver in truth. Stop trusting the system and find the truth yourself. You get what I'm saying? Don't just trust what us YouTubers say. Go watch many YouTubers, but then go and just do the research yourself. Right? Because it's power in the knowledge. It's power in being able to communicate with a debt collector. It's power in being able to assert your rights and knowing, hey, I do have a right. It's power being able to walk into a dealership and communicate with the sales professional and know exactly what the buy rate is, and knowing the APR and knowing what you're entitled to, so that they can't just sit there and get over on you. Because those sales managers or those salespeople be thinking that they have so much power. They'll say, well, you need to pay this. And it's like, no, I don't. I don't need to pay shit. I just need you to run my application and show me the approval sheet. Well, I can't do that if you don't pay a down payment. Well, okay, well, show me the approval sheet. I'm not saying I wouldn't pay a down payment, but I need to see what my exact rate is so you don't mark up the price. I'm not here to pay your bonus. I'm here to get me a vehicle. I'm not here to fund your bonus check. I'm here to fund this car. Then you hit them with a knowledge bomb. Hey, look, I already know you guys are going to securitize this. I already know that this down payment is for your pocket. So come on, bro. I'll make sure you get paid, bro. You get what I'm saying? When you know it, you feel more confident. And if you feel like somebody is still trying to play a game, you can get up and go to the next dealership. I'm gonna do a video on that. Okay? So the thing is, they want you emotionally triggered, so you don't look for remedy, but paperwork, law, and facts will always outperform fear. You dig what I'm saying? And that's the whole point. Being able to challenge them, being able to know your rights so that you can be able to maneuver through this financial, through this legal system, through this due process. Same thing with the police officers and things of that nature. They just want you to maneuver emotionally so that they can take advantage of you. But we're done allowing them to take advantage of you. We're done fearing the system. We're done fearing going to court, because we're going to have all our paperwork together. We're going to have all the communications, and we're going to have everything that we need on our end to make sure that we can state our claim, to make sure that nobody is taking advantage of us. All right? So down below, I have to complete that guide. I may put together a child support audit and starter kit and include it in the complete that guide within the next coming weeks. So tap into the complete that guide. The more it grows, that complete that guide price may go up. Okay. But if you do tap into the complete that guide, you become an affiliate and you get 80% revenue. All right. So tap into the complete that guide. Number 2, if you want to work with me one-on-one, and I'm not working with anybody specifically on child support. I'm not working with anybody specifically on discharging your debts. But if you're looking to fix your credit, looking to get funded, looking to be able to build a credit repair business, tap into that one-on-one mentorship, because I'm helping people who fall under those categories. All right. Number 3, tap in with me on Instagram at biz.nick. Tap in with me on Twitch. I go live on Twitch between times 10 and 12 p.m. Eastern time every single day. Tap in with me on Twitch so that you can be able to see the video early. Chop it up with me. Ask me questions. Okay? And lastly, drop a comment below if you ever felt trapped by a child support order you didn't understand. Remember to like, subscribe, turn on the post notifications so that you get a notification every time I post a video, because the system won't hand you freedom. You have to be able to gather your own freedom. You have to be willing to accept that you actually have freedom, but there are people that are trying to take it away from you. Now, if you got all the way to the end, remember to comment the word discharge, and I'll see you in the next video.